producer, martial artist, and chemical engineer with nearly 100 film and television credits, including Aquaman, Masters of the Universe, the Expendables series, and of course the role of Ivan Drago in Rocky IV and the character's return and redemption in Creed 2. Today he joins us to discuss these and all his other works. Please welcome Dolph Lundgren!
Hi guys. Hello. Use this.
Yes, sir. Yes. I don't know what they were doing last year. It was all corkscrewed up. So. Well, welcome to San Jose. Thanks for joining us this weekend.
Thank you. Nice to be here. My backyard. I live in West Hollywood, so it's nice not to have to go too far.
No, I know several of our guests here that were just, we drove, felt nice. Deal with the airports and everything else. So, well, what I do is when I have a solo guest such as yourself, I always like to go into a little bit of the origin story, and we discussed it before, but I'd love the audience to hear it in case they haven't. What drew you into this wonderful career as an entertainer? Because as an actor and director and filmmaker, I mean, what sort of put you on this path?
Well, it's in my case, it's a bit complex. I was brought up in Sweden. My dad was an engineer, a military officer. I didn't have too many creative people around me, but I always felt I had a creative urge. Since I was a kid, I used to do a lot of music and painting and drawing, and I had allergies when I was a kid. So I was kind of escaped into my own world because I couldn't be out with the other children playing as much. Also had a kind of troubled relationship with my dad. He was a kind of a violent guy with me and my mom. So I think that kind of led me into martial arts. When I became a little older, like 13 or so, I wanted to feel more powerful and be able to kind of defend myself or to feel more confident. And at the same time, then I started studying engineering, chemical engineering on scholarships. Went to Australia for a year. I was in America. I was at Clemson University. I was at Washington State University. Finally, I had a Fulbright scholarship to MIT. And I fell on the side in New York. I fell in love with a girl in New York and a singer, actually Grace Jones back in those days. And a nice lady. And she was doing some acting in a Bond movie, and I came along to the acting class, and the coach, I did a scene there just to see what it was like, and the coach said, maybe you think about becoming an actor. I mean, maybe you're a frustrated artist, even though, by now I was a karate champion as well. So I thought about it, and I gave up my scholarship to MIT. And I started studying acting in New York and working as a doorman. So it was kind of a step in a different direction. This is back in the 80s in New York. 54 was still open, and there were some crazy times there. And
We've heard the legends.
Legends, yes. Mick Jagger, Michael Jackson were all there. So in one movie I was sent up by this agent, Grace's agent actually, set me up for a bunch of little roles. I did some modeling, but there was a boxing movie, and I went up to there was 200 guys in the line, and I came up to this table. There's this woman sitting there, and she said, what's your name? I told her, and then she said, how tall are you? And I said, 6'4", and she says, too tall. Next. And I was like, I looked behind it, there was a little sign, handwritten, said Rocky IV. And I was like, oh shit, a Rocky movie. I'm a big fan of Rocky, and when I used to fight, I used to listen to Eye of the Tiger and all that in Australia. So I was lucky because my acting coach knew somebody who was actually this director, John Hirschfeld, who was a good friend of Stallone's. He was a friend of his in college. And we had dinner one night, 4 of us, me, Grace, Warren, and this guy, and then John. And Warren said, there was this boxing movie, and John says, yeah, I know. I mean, Sly, he's looking for a guy just like you, just like this guy. And so I jumped on my motorcycle, drove down to the village, picked up an 8x10, me in boxing gear with no shirt, and 4 or 5 months later, I got a call from some guy in some PA in LA who, oh God, I found you. You have no agent. I've been trying to track you down for months.
Is this Mr. Dolph?
Yeah,
Lundgren?
It was Hans at the time, Hans Lundgren. Is this Hans? I was like, yeah. And then I had to fly to LA. Met with Sly. He was kind of old tan, long hair. He was going to do Rambo 2. And I go, fuck those guys up for this work. So it's like, yeah, he did have 5,000 guys that he got for it. There was binders everywhere, and you got to put on some weight, and then, I was kind of skinny, upper body, because I was a fighter, and I had to practice a monologue, which was used later in the trailer, in the teaser trailer. My name is Drago. I'm a fighter from the Soviet Union. Soon I'll fight the real champion. It was like that. And then I did a screen test later that year after 4 or 5 months of lifting weights and putting on some muscle. And then, 2 other Russian guys actually. I thought it was just me, but I was in this cheap hotel in LA, and I went down to have a cup of coffee or something because I wasn't eating, I was trying to get ripped. So I went down to have a cup of coffee, and there was like, the elevator opens, and there's a big blonde Russian guy looking at me, Are you going down for breakfast? It's like, oh shit, there's more of these. I saw another big guy down there. But in the screen test, they were all like, they did like a Russian Mr. T, like, I will break you, I will demolish you. But I had worked with my acting coach, Warren Robertson, and he said, just stand there and just be very internal, like, just have it come through the eyes and don't move too much, And that was kind of how I played the character. And I did the screen test. It was like, dolly tracks, one camera. Here I was in my trunks, swim trunks, boxing trunks, no shirt. There's like 50 people behind the lens, Sly and his bodyguards, a bunch of executives, and everybody came down and see the spectacle. And obviously I did fairly well because, the next day I flew to back to New York, and I was there, and I got a call from Stallone. He said, you got the part, kid, So, yeah, there you go. That's a short version.
And then, of course, after that, when View to a Kill, the James Bond movie, got in rotation on HBO, everybody, you blink and you miss it. He's in View to a Kill, like, it's like going out of your head. The internet age has brought it too. But it's like, hey, I think that's the right. And then the VHS were running it back. That is him. Hey.
Yeah, that was. I was actually up for the Rocky IV part, and Grace was in A View to Kill with Roger Moore and Chris Walken. So they were doing a scene on the racetrack, and Chris Walken was there, and some stunt guy didn't show up, and the director says, you want to be in the movie? Would you like to be in the picture? And I was like, I don't think I'll screw it up. No, I don't think so. He's like, no, it's easy. You just put on this suit and point this gun at Chris Walken. And I was like, okay. So I did, and I'm in the movie for like 5 seconds. But it was fun to watch Chris Walken work. I'd studied some acting by then, as I said, so it was fun to watch him work because he would like rehearse, the scene with there was this British actor that always plays the KGB, the bad KGB guy. Yes, we have the KGB. We want you to do this. The same guy in all the movies.
Yeah.
And Chris would rehearse it one way. He would speak very softly in the rehearsal, and then on the first take he would like raise his voice and yell at the guy, and then he jumped back like 3 feet, and it was very, very effective. So I remember I was kind of very impressed by him and his acting.
I pulled the audience ahead of time, so we've got a lot of fans of Masters of the Universe out there.
Oh yeah.
How did that come out for you?
Well, that was that was my first really starring role, and somebody sent me I'd heard of He-Man, there was a cartoon, and I think there was a cartoon first, and then there was a toy, and then there was going to be, then I was going to become the toy, and I said, I don't know about this, it's not such a smart idea. This is before, all the Marvel movies and everything else, so I wasn't sure about it, but people advised me to do it, and it was a kind of a hero. It was kind of an American hero instead of a Soviet, bad guy. So I thought it was maybe a good career move. But I was very nervous about it because, in Rocky IV I had Stallone who kind of watched over me and I could always go and ask him questions about stuff. But here, it was just me. There was nobody who I could really rely on. So it was it's a lot of pressure on me, that picture. And, I had to, I was wearing, my costume was the size of a stamp, it was leather, nothing there. So I had to work out all the time to be tremendous shape. So it was a lot, shooting nights, 54 nights in a row in Whittier, South LA. I think it was a record up till Scorsese did After Hours, which was 62 nights or something. So yeah, but we were up there for a few days. Anyway, it was a good movie. It was Canon Films ran out of money at some point. I think they started cutting the budget, which kind of disappointed me because the release wasn't really as well kind of marketed as it should have been. But I do like that picture, and I saw it lately. There was the 40th anniversary of He-Man, I think he was invented in 1982 or something like that, and 83, and there was a 40th anniversary, and I saw the film projected, 35 millimeter, and it kind of held up. It was kind of a cute movie.
For what was on the surface, kind of a kids film, or at least a matinee sort of feel to it. And again, art direction was wonderful. Mobius's, his redesigns. If they put you in the cartoon outfits, it would have been really silly. But everything was great. Frank, I think, is just wonderful as that villain, and you absolutely carried that hero role wonderfully.
Thank you. I felt pretty good about it, even though I was nervous at the time. And there's a new one coming out next summer.
Yeah.
Reboot. Yeah. I've heard they may have a few small roles in there for other actors.
Okay. We won't pressure you for details. We'll just stay tuned.
I've heard of that.
Absolutely. How did your desire to be behind the camera as director and filmmaker, how did that evolve? Was that kind of at the beginning you always wanted to do it, or just as you were acting, you were thought, I think I'd like to be behind there?
I think it started way back when I was a kid. I was always directing my brothers and sisters in different war games and forcing them to be, cowboys and Indians and marching around in military parades and things at home. And then I think what happened was I was always interested in script work and storytelling, and I'd worked on a bunch of scripts with the director a little bit behind the scenes, because I sort of after Masters, and then I did Universal Soldier, a couple of movies, and I moved to Spain. I married somebody, a Swedish woman, and I moved to Spain, and I kind of slipped away from Hollywood a bit, and the quality of my movies kind of declined to some degree, and I was trying to get back in there, and then I was going to start a movie, and the director got sick, and they asked him, who we need to replace you, and who should we ask? And he said, why don't you ask Dolph? And the producer went, who? He said, Dolph Lundgren is starring the movie. And I said, well, why would you ask him? Well, and he said, well, he's actually pretty smart, good with story, and he's very organized. And anyway, I got the role, I got that part, the job. So then I directed 4 or 5 movies, and then I got into the whole Expendables circus for about 8 years. When that was up, and then came Aquaman and the Creed 2, and then after that I decided to go back into directing.
Good. What's some of your directorial works that you wish people would like to have had more knowledge of?
That I wish.
Yeah. What's some of your works that you wish people would?
My works.
Yes.
I don't know if I've done anything yet. I think I've just been exploring the surface. I mean, I wasn't trained as a director. I kind of learned from other directors, whether it was Sly or John Woo or whoever I worked with. Stephen Capel I thought was good and Creed too. No, I don't think I haven't really had a chance to spend a lot of time with the script because I think it all comes from the script. You can make the movie a lot worse than the script if you screw it up, but you can't make it much better. So I think it all comes from developing the material and so forth. So, I did do a movie called Command Performance when I played drummer. And I thought it was pretty good. For what it is, it was kind of entertaining, and I had a lot of extras. I had a couple of had some tanks, some military guys in it. It was pretty good.
No, it was. Well, before I go on and take some of the wonderful questions, on behalf of myself and the audience, I just want to thank you. I want to thank you for your talents, your professionalism, and your you have brought so much joy, so many people, and just thank you so much for being a friend of the fans all this time.
All right, man. Thanks. Appreciate it. Thank you. All right, let's hear any good questions.
All right. Hey, what's your name?
Paul,
What you got, Paul?
on May 16th of this year, you threw out the ceremonial first pitch at Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia to the greatest sports mascot of all time, the Philly Fanatic. What was it like that day at Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia? Did you get any cheesesteaks? Did you meet any Philadelphia Phillies players? What was your experience like at Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia? Go Phillies.
It was, thanks, man. Yeah, it was frightening to have to go out there and throw that pitch. I only knew about it like a week before, and I had this shoulder injury, so didn't want to screw up and, no offense, throw like a girl, so it was like, sorry girls, but, so I was back there in the pitch, in the batting cage. There is one inside, inside with the play in the clubhouse, and I threw a couple of pitches, not too bad, pretty much right on, and then I missed one way off. The kids went off straight, fly ball, and one of the Philly guys says, "Don't worry about it, you'll be fine. There's only 40,000 people out there." But anyway, it went okay.
Thank you for answering.
Right.
Thanks, man.
Great question to start us off with. Thank you. That's for you.
Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Hey. Hi, what's your name?
Abigail.
What you got, Abigail?
Hejsan. Så jag såg dig på Allsång på Skansen flera veckor sedan. Vad var din favorit allsångslåt om du var på scenen?
Ja, du menar, okay, she's speaking Swedish, so
We kind of thought so.
I was in Sweden, and there is a thing called something in Swedish called Allsång, which means it's a sing-along kind of show where people sing along. Like, they don't do it in America much, but like in England, they do it. Have you seen it? And you asked me my favorite song that I sang or that they sang.
If you had been the host.
If I'd been the host.
If you'd been the host.
It would have to be some, vad heter han nu, what's his name? There's who sings that song just nu? What's his name? Thomas Ledin.
Oh,
Yeah, there's a Swedish singer, I like him. I would have done one of his songs. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Hey, what's your name?
Benjamin.
What you got?
I loved your work in Aquaman 1 and 2. I was wondering, I heard one time you said that some of your content got cut out of the second one. Could you speak about your time on Aquaman 1 and 2 and anything that got cut that you were sad didn't make it into the final movie?
Well, yeah, the first one I thought everything made it. First one was really good. I thought the character came across pretty well. Second one, they had some problems because they were trying to cut around, what's her name? Amber, you know. Studio got nervous because there was a trial and they kind of got themselves in trouble trying to recut the picture. I mean, she's obviously, married to Aquaman, and then they have a kid, and it was about the kid, actually, the story. But so they try to kind of circumvent that. So they lost a couple of good scenes, not just for me, but for Nicole Kidman too, and for, of course, for her, what's her name again? Amber, yeah, my daughter. My daughter Amber, yeah. But I thought, on the whole, it was great to work with James Wan. It was fun to work with, Jason Momoa and Nicole Kidman, all great actors. And it was fun to play the father and kind of a father-daughter relationship. Which, I have two daughters, so I know what that's like.
Great question, thank you. Hey, what's your name?
Lon.
What you got, Lon?
So first of all, I can ask you a million questions, huge fan, but the one thing I wanted to ask was, one of my first introductions to Brandon Lee was Showdown in Little Tokyo. So I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit about what it was like working with Brandon Lee.
Yeah, good question. Yeah, he was a nice kid and very talented. Would have been a huge star, I predict. I mean, it's very sad what happened to him. But we had a great time together. I mean, obviously I had done martial arts since I was about 12, 13, and I guess he had too because of his dad. The thing is, I didn't really know when I was called in for that picture from Warner Brothers. So you co-starring with some guy, Brandon Lee, and I didn't think, oh, Bruce Lee, Brandon Lee. I thought, oh, some Oriental guy, and then I realized, oh shit, it's Bruce Lee's son. So it made it a little different, a little more pressure on me too to perform. But I got very friendly with him and his family as well because I think his mom, Linda Lee, was half Swedish. So he had been to Sweden and I think Bruce Lee met her. I think he either met her in Sweden or in Seattle, in the Scandinavian community up there. So we had a little bit of connection. But he was a really good guy and good martial artist. So sad what happened, but he's sorely missed. And very nice guy.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, what's your name?
I'm Walken. Out of all the movies you took part of, which one did you most enjoy making and why?
Of all the movies, all the movies.
All the movies.
Enjoy, well, I mean, look, a lot of movies that I've done have been a lot of hard work. I mean, I enjoy that, and it's a different type of enjoyment, like Rocky IV, for instance, because I had a lot of pressure, my first big role, and a big chance, but a lot of work, and Stallone is a tough director, I wouldn't say I had a lot of fun doing it, but I think the first Expendables was fun. I would say that one was fun, because between him and Jet Li and the rest of them, and I'm friendly with Randy Couture and Terry and Sly. It was great to work with him again after 20 years, 25 years, So I think most fun, I guess, was Expendables, first one.
Good one, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, what's your name?
My name's Albert.
What you got?
It's kind of a two-part question. One, what was your greatest achievement in Kyokushin karate?
Let me answer that.
What was mine?
Your greatest achievement in Kyokushin?
Oh, my greatest achievement, Kyokushin karate. I think probably winning the Australian Open, I would say, maybe in Australia, but because I was new in town, I was some kid from Europe, from Sweden. They didn't like me much. They didn't like me to be part of the tournament. I was studying hard. I was trying to get a scholarship to MIT, so I had to study, and I got sick. I had some kind of flu or something, and I had to fight. I had to go to Melbourne to fight from swimming, and the judges weren't really on my side, so I kind of had to knock everybody out to win very, or knock them down, or at least win kind of overwhelmingly, which I guess I did finally. But yeah, I think I felt pretty good about that victory.
Okay, that was a good one. Okay, for your second part, go to the end of the line, we'll get you through. Okay, gotta be fair to everybody. Hi, what's your name?
Hi, Angie, and this is my sister Olivia.
Hello, Sister Olivia.
Her question was asked. So, okay, so when you decided to reprise your role as Drago for Creed 2, what was it that you wanted to stay true to with that character?
Well, when I first got the script on Creed 2, it was a different script. I didn't like it. It was, the character was not very nice. It was a bit racist, and I didn't like it. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to ruin that character, the iconic sort of Alan Drago. Even though it was a bad day, it's still an iconic character. But then there was a new director came in, actually Stephen Cable, African-American guy, was very smart, and he kind of embraced that character. Me and my son, we grew up in the projects. I mean, he knew what he was talking about, and we're poor, we don't have anything. We come to America to try to make it, so he kind of made it a father-son story, which I like, because like I mentioned earlier, I had a troubled relationship with my dad, so now I can sort of play my dad, and I could kind of make up for my kid. So I got to vicariously kind of relive that and give it a good ending. So I really enjoy that, And then like I was working on the character, and what I realized was my aim for the character was that the way you introduced to him in the movie is like the last guy on earth who would throw in the towel is Ivan Drago. Never. And so when I go up and I throw it in to save him, it means something, right? So it was quite clever, that script. Yeah, love it.
Great question. Hi, what's your name?
Mike,
What you got, Mike?
you often take on characters that where you're sort of the extreme muscle.
Yeah.
But you're actually trained, to understand, as a chemical engineer. So how do you feel about always being portrayed the muscle rather than the mastermind?
Well, I know. Look, there are not that many great movies about chemical engineers, So I have
Because you haven't made it yet.
Yes. So I had to sort of, look at the other side of my personality, which is the athlete, which I can use as well. So I use that. But it's true, people think Stallone is Rocky Balboa. So he's a very smart guy, and very accomplished and clever and intelligent, and all that, the rest of it. So same with Arnold, friends of mine. So I guess I'm in the same boat, You play characters that are sort of physical, and people believe that's all of you, but it's just part of me.
I did like basically the meta scene in Expendables, where your character and that
Yeah.
he's a chemical engineer, and you figured out. So I thought that was a nice little nod.
Thanks. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Hey, what's your name?
James.
What you got?
Yeah, one of my favorite stories that Sly often tells is the story of you actually hitting him and putting him in the hospital. Can you tell that story from your perspective and what was going through life?
Well, my perspective, I was a kid, 26-year-old kid who was in this movie, and I'm boxing my boss, and he says, hit me hard, go ahead, Dolph. And I did, and he hit me too, but we shot 2 weeks in Vancouver for the last fight, and I came back to LA, and the producer calls and says, hey, Dolph, you got 2 weeks off. I'm like, great, what's going on? He's like, Sly's in the hospital. Oh, shit, okay. And then later I heard this, it's because the Swedish guy hit him too hard, and his heart got bruised or blew up. I thought it was an insurance scam, I don't know. I don't know if it was me, but yeah, I didn't know what happened. I felt bad about it, so I told Sly, and he said, who knows? I still don't know what happened.
There you go. Welcome. Thank you. Hey, what's your name?
Bobby.
What you got, Bobby?
So I read on Google that you're 6'5", and I'm just as short as 6'6". So I was wondering, do you think it's an advantage or a disadvantage to be tall in Hollywood? Because I want to try to make it as a writer, director, and possibly actor as well. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I mean, is it an advantage to be really short or really tall? I don't know. I mean, I don't think it really matters in the long run. I think it's up to your talent, you know. There are actors that are very short, there are actors that are tall. I mean, Jimmy Stewart was very tall, and, you know, Jim Cagney, we look at all the actors, you know, he was short. And, you know, very tough guys like Humphrey Bogart was really supposedly very short and hated violence, you know, he really plays these bad guys. And so I don't really think it matters much. I mean, the thing is, there are a lot of short actors, so they'd rather not stand next to tall guys. So I think if you're tall, you have to have some more special quality to, like, you know, people want to work with you.
Great question. Thank you. I look forward to hosting you out there. Yeah. I can make jokes like that. I dated a 6'8" girl. So. Hey, what's your name?
Hello, my name is Enrique. It's kind of a segue to the question that Mike had. You play these iconic characters, or like these figures of unstoppable power, right? Being the alpha, the strongest kind of thing. And during your interview, now you showed a little, I was there, and I was new, I was insecure. I wanted you to compare, contrast kind of the experience of having to portray these figures of power, and at the same time being a flawed human being with your own kind of doubts and fears and insecurities, and how that plays off in your own life.
Okay, so can I just, I didn't understand all of it. I know you said can you repeat it?
So
what's the exact question?
So basically, like, what's it like?
I have this experience sometimes.
By experience.
People from different countries speaking in English. We can't really understand each other. It's interesting. It's an interesting thing. The Swedish accent and the Brazilian accent. Like the question. Contrasting your portraying the brawn, the physical power, and at the same time the insecurity and fears of a regular human being. How that played off in your own life and your experience.
Oh, thank you. Well, you know, it is. Well, it's true. I mean, to be an athlete, or to be a businessman, or to provide for your family as a man, you know, you need to have strength, right? And you need resolve, and you need discipline, and all of those qualities. But also to be effective and to be a real man, I think you need a soft side too. You need to be compassionate. You need to be understanding, and have empathy. You know, and I think if you only have the first, the alpha part without the other side, then you know, that's why the world sometimes is a very scary place, because men like that are, you know, empowered, and they can do a lot of damage, you know. So I think it's important to have both. And I, you know, when I was younger, I always knew that, but it's kind of hard to work it into your film work unless you have a director who understands it. But for instance, Creed 2, like we discussed, does, you know, the character does show vulnerability and empathy, you know, even though you don't expect it. And I think those are powerful characters on film, the ones who have both. Because I think, you know, a lot of men, they're looking for those role models, especially young men. So I think it's quite important that you show both sides, you know, in the characters. Thank you.
Great question. They get you Walken. Great question. And we also all right, welcome back. All right, go ahead and do it, Galil.
Okay, my second question was, what were the pros and cons for filming The Punisher?
Oh, pros and cons. Well, the pros were that It was a good script by Robert Kamen, who wrote, Karate Kid. You wrote Taken, for instance. It was a good script, but they had problems with production and with the studio behind it, New World Studios. They actually went bankrupt towards the end of the filming, so they started recutting the movie and changing the arc of the character. I thought that was a problem. Because in the original film, you saw Frank Castle when he was a cop and he has a family and then his family gets killed. The mob killed his family and he kind of loses it, right? Becomes the Punisher, but they took that out, so I thought that was the negative side of it. But the fun part was I got to fight Kyokushin against a bunch of Japanese guys who showed up thinking they were going to fight me for real. They weren't sure it was a movie or not. They were, especially one guy was in tears when he was going to get killed. He was like, I can't, how am I going to tell my family back in Japan? So he refused to die, but we had to put a spear through him or something. It was a fun shoot though. And a lot of the people who were involved with the Road Warrior and Mad Max were in it, did the costumes and so forth. Yeah, good crew. Thank you.
And thanks for respecting us. Appreciate it. Thank you. Hey, what's your name?
Corey. So I'm a big action star fan myself, but a lot of roles for you guys are pretty physically demanding. What was the most physically demanding movie that you played in, role-wise?
Ooh. Yeah, I've done a few very tough ones. I don't know if this. I did one pentathlon where I played a pentathlete, so I had to ride, run, fence, shoot, and swim. And those are really tough. Just to be a good swimmer is difficult, and riding horses and show jumping, and that was very difficult physically. I remember I trained a lot for that. Also, Masters of the Universe was difficult because I was bare-chested every scene in the whole movie. Lucky Rocky IV, I had a couple of fights, but you're moving, right? So, you're throwing punches, so, that you can see the muscles more when you move. The hardest is when you stand around and deliver dialogue, hello, how are you? Everybody can see you. So you have to be totally ripped, so Masters was really tough. I did heavy weight bodybuilding on that picture every day. Night shoots, so every 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I lift weights for an hour and a half, and then I go and work from 5 p.m. to 5 a.m. Sleep, and then get up and do the same the next day. That was a tough shoot.
Good question. Thank you. We have a few minutes left, so we'll take these last 3 folks in line. So come on, going forward, but the line will be closed after this one. Hey, what's your name?
Alex. I was just wondering, how does your family feel about the roles that you play? Is there anything they've objected to, or they've been like, oh, don't do that,
Well, I have obviously my 2 daughters. Then I have my brothers and sisters in Sweden. I think my brothers and sisters, they just kind of shocked that I became an actor to start with, and they're just kind of a little bit. To them, it's unbelievable that I'm in Hollywood somehow, being this nerdy chemical engineer that they grew up with. I think to my daughters, I think they kind of enjoy some of the roles I've done and some of the choices, and they know me as a person, so they know I'm a bit different than these characters. But they're both kind of involved in sports, and they do a little bit of. They've both done a little boxing, not like in the ring, but on the bag or whatever. So I think they feel good about it. I think they think it's exciting to have a dad who's in that world.
Cool, come on, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, what's your name?
Dustin. Is there a movie that you worked on that you were really proud of, but you felt like it had been kind of underrated or underseen?
Oh yeah, I get about 45 of those. I got a lot of those, but underrated or underseen. I mean, there's one movie that a lot of people. There's a movie called I Come in Peace, or Dark Angel, that I thought it was pretty well put together for what the budget. You know, it was quite well done. A lot of great stunts, pretty good story. And apart from that, I guess no. I think most of them have gotten pretty good reviews. You know, Creed 2 got pretty good reviews for me. That was nice. But there's plenty of them where I worked really hard, but you know, sometimes other aspects, because you're not in control as the actor. If you're not producing or directing it, you know, it's it's somebody else's hands. They can edit it any way they want it, and I've had that happen many times where you're very disappointed with the results. So, for instance, now I've got 2 or 3 projects that I'm producing, developing, and I try to really take my time and try to watch every step of it to see, make sure it becomes as, you know, everything it can be, you know.
Come on, thank you.
Thank you.
Jake.
What's got Jake?
You don't have to name names. What's the worst experience you ever had on a set, and what did you learn from it?
Ooh, how about more? What's the most challenging experience you've had on a set? Let's soften that up a little bit. Okay.
The most challenging experience on set.
Yes.
On set, I mean, you know, I've been through, I mean, there are different types of challenges. There's creative challenges, you know, there's physical challenges, and I mean, I did 2 movies in 2021 in London, Aquaman 2 and Creed 2, and Expendables, 4, I think it was 14 and 4, right? Expendables 4, and then at this time I was going through this medical adventure, you know, serious kind of medical thing. It's kind of done now, but you know, that was tough, you know, so I had to sort of just forget about that, show up every day for work. I mean, it was nice with the distraction, but it was quite difficult sometimes too, you know, because I wasn't feeling that well from their various treatments. I wasn't feeling well, you know, you have to perform, and you know, the costumes are very, especially in Aquaman, you have 3 or 4 layers of costumes. It's very hard to move and hot, and anyway, but I got through it, so it wasn't that bad. It wasn't like going to war or anything like that, so I shouldn't complain.
So what's on the horizon? Any upcoming projects you're allowed to share with us?
Yeah, for sure. Well, speaking of my life, which you know you brought up at the beginning, there's a documentary coming out that it's going to be at the Newport Beach Film Festival, and then it's going to be out later this year. My life, they'll be shooting for a couple of years on that one. There's a book, similar topic for some reason. The book's called Fights Worth Fighting, which is based on the TED Talk that I did called Fights Worth Fighting. I'm developing 2 scripts, 2 projects. One is an action comedy set in Hollywood. It's sort of the mob meets the action world, a little bit like Get Shorted. Remember that movie?
Yeah.
A bit like that. I did a thing for The Witcher for Netflix. It should be out later this year. I feel pretty good about that. And then I have another couple of other films. Like I said, a couple of appearances in big movies where I can't talk about, but it will come out.
We'll stay tuned.
Yes.
We'll stay tuned. Hey, one final question. Would you like to take a picture with this wonderful audience?
Of course.
All right, folks. Here we go. If I can come towards the stage, but not on the stage, if I come up towards the stage.